What was required of a Zappa guitarist?
For that particular gig, it was there were actually 3 guitar players in the band, and Frank played the solos, and Ike Willis played a lot of the sort of chordal rhythm parts, and then I was required to play the composed parts, usually single note lines that weren't originally written for guitar, things that might have originally been played by a horn or marimba or something, or a keyboard. But then when Steve Vai got in the band in the early 80s, all of a sudden that like opened Frank's palette in terms of what kind of guitar parts he could write, because Steve Vai could play anything.
Steve Vai is Steve Vai.
Yeah, exactly. So Steve went in and made life tough for all guitar players by proving that it was possible to play these things on guitar. So when I got in the band in late '87, the stunt guitarist role, which had actually been invented for Steve Vai, then became my role, which was interesting because I was not trained as a guitar player, unlike Steve. I was trained as a keyboard player. So I showed up in Frank's band ready to play guitar and keyboard, and so my role kind of evolved. Rather than just the all-purpose stunt guitarist the way Steve was, I became more like an orchestra musician, just doing a number of different kind of parts on multiple instruments and singing also. I sang this song called Elvis Has Just Left the Building as me singing lead on it, which was kind of trippy.
Do you enjoy using your music as a vehicle to get people thinking?
I use it as a vehicle to get myself to think, and then if that then spurs thoughtfulness in anyone else, that's great. I'm happy about that. But primarily, I think I'm more interested in using the music to get people to feel. I want them to. I like it when it makes them feel things that they can't even understand consciously or intellectually. So, I guess I'm looking to engender responses deeper than just thought.
Tell us a little bit about how you first got into the world of music.
When I was real young in the '60s, my sister was like 16 years old, prime age to be have her world completely rocked by the Beatles. So there was Beatle music playing in the house a lot, as I was gradually becoming conscious of what I liked and didn't like, and I realized, wow, I really like that.
Lightning Roy, ran all around till his head was flame. Went to a bar and decided to change his name. Lightning Roy, ran all around till his head was flame. Went to a bar and decided to change his name. Lightning Roy, ran all around till his head was flame. Went to a bar and decided to change his name. Lightning Roy.
When at the point where the Beatles started getting too weird for her, like Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, she stopped collecting the records, but that's when it really started to get fascinating for me as a kid. When I was 9, it was the first time I heard Frank Zappa, and that was when I guess I really had my head twisted. It's like, okay, you can get really out there. You can just go as far out as your imagination allows you, and you're allowed. There's nobody technically who can stop you. You can take the weirdest, strangest, twisted germ of an idea in your head and build it into something concrete that people can hear, and that people just as odd as you can enjoy it as well. And that became real appealing to me.
So what's coming up for your band?
Which one? The Haircuts, which is a trio with Rick Musalem, who plays guitar in my quartet, and Nick DiVirgilio, who's the drummer from Spock's Beard and Tears for Fears. And he was the drummer for the Mike Keneally band on the album Dog, and on the road with us for a couple of tours. So Rick and Nick and I now form the Haircuts, and I mostly play bass in the Haircuts, and we pretty much do all covers. Is the Mike Keneally band, the 2005 edition, which is Brian Beller, Joe Travers, who's the drummer with Zappa, plays Zappa, and Rick Musalem. But then I also have this trio, Keneally, Miniman, Beller, with obviously Marco Miniman and Brian Beller, and we're booking European touring right now. And then Brian and I also play as an acoustic duet, or an electric duet, and we're about to go on the road for Taylor Guitars.
Nice.
And then there's Death Clock, which, if anyone doesn't know, that's connected with this Adult Swim cartoon called Metalocalypse, which was created by Brendan Small, who's a friend of mine, and he asked me to join the live touring version of Death Clock a couple years ago. So that's a whole other, experience of playing for this audience that kind of is just the meeting place of animation fans and metal fans, and where that meets is where where Deathclock's following lives, and they are such a cool audience to play for. They're so happy and they're so excited, and they just lose their minds at the shows.
Give us a rundown what's going on with these reissues.
Yeah, well, a couple of years ago we put out the first couple of records, which were Hat and Boiled at Dustbeck, that I did back in the early 90s, and they've been out of print for a long time. So.
And these are not remastered, right?
Those are remastered. Hat and Boiled at Dustbeck. We put those out on CD, and they have DVDs that have all kinds of bonus material about the making of the albums, and those are remastered, and that was like CD, DVD package in the physical realm, real things that you can pick up and fetish. We had 3 other major titles, which are Sluggo, Half Alive in Hollywood, which is a double live record, and The Mistakes, which is a collaboration with Henry Kaiser and Prairie Prince from the Tubes, and Andy West, the original bassist for the Dixie Dregs. So we just didn't have the wherewithal at the moment to remaster and reissue those on CD with bonus content, because right now we're working on this thing called Scambot, which is a 3-record set with a book that accompanies it and all this crazy stuff. So we couldn't wait around to put out the archive material. And we're record geeks. We like having things that you can hold, But
right.
in this day and age, it just didn't make sense to have that music unavailable. So now we have Sluggo and Half Alive in Hollywood and The Mistakes available for download, MP3 and FLAC formats from our website. And these aren't remastered. These are the original albums, precisely as they were originally released, but officially available from us with all the original art and new liner notes that I did, and. Just for people who want to get the stuff in good quality, and we were seeing download websites from other countries where the stuff was available.
And this is straight from you.
Yeah, exactly. This is straight from us, and it's the audio's been treated lovingly, and you get a zip file with all the original art and plus these new liner notes, and anybody who cares about supporting the artist, here's a means to go ahead and do that.
Thank you so much for coming on interviewworld.com.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Rock on. Thanks.
Cool.